Hello everyone and welcome to Noodle Journey, your destination for detailed and informative reviews of the instant noodle universe. And depending on when you're watching this video, you may have seen this trio of products on Shark Tank. It's time to do a deep dive into Pholicious with their beef pho, chicken pho, and vegetarian pho flavors. Before we get into this review, please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you appreciate these reviews that I do. So I picked these up not long ago with the intention of reviewing them soon, but I just happened to see on the Pholicious website that they are about to be featured on Shark Tank. And I thought, well, I'd better get this reviewed because whether or not they end up getting a deal, people are going to want an unbiased review of these bowls. And that's what I'm here for. And as long as I don't screw anything up in the filming and editing process of this review should be out a few hours before that episode of Shark Tank airs. Now you can go to the Pholicious website to read all about their hustle to bring these products to market, which started during the pandemic. And I'm sure they'll be sharing that story on Shark Tank as well. It's a really great story. But regardless of how this review goes, I gotta give them major props for getting these products launched into grocery stores as a small business during COVID. They're based in Texas. These are manufactured in the USA, and more on why that's important in a minute, besides the positive economic impact. And I just saw on Facebook that Pholicious is donating a significant amount of supplies to the firefighters currently trying to control the fires in California. So I really love what this company is doing. I just hope that these products live up to that hype. Now, hopefully you already know what pho is, but if not, it's a Vietnamese staple combining flavorful herbs and spices with a savory broth and noodles to make, in my opinion, one of the best comfort foods out there. The problem is that instant varieties are very hit or miss, and none of them can truly capture an authentic restaurant feel. But Pholicious claims that they have duplicated an authentic pho experience in these bowls using top-notch ingredients. Not just authentic, they claim in the marketing that these are restaurant quality. And that means these are expensive. You can find these all for sale on their website or Amazon, Walmart, Sam's Club, and H-E-B supermarkets. H-E-B also exclusively carries pouch versions in addition to these bowls. And they've also got a new premium instant bowl product coming out in March that I will review if I can get my hands on it. The current price for a 4-pack of bowls on their website is $25. On Walmart.com, they're a little cheaper at $22 for a 4-pack, $11 for a 2-pack, or $5.48 for a single pack. And at Sam's Club, it's $20 for a 4-pack. So outside of a big sale, you are not getting these for less than $5 a bowl. And that is a lot of money in the instant noodle world, especially when you can find many other varieties of instant pho for $2 or less in Asian supermarkets. But here's where that American manufacturing part becomes important, folks. American manufacturing means that Pholicious is free to use real beef and chicken in their ingredients. Whereas if you walk into your nearest Asian supermarket, just about every single pho noodle pack you'll see is exported from somewhere in Asia, which means that due to USDA regulations, there is no meat in them. For example, you've probably seen this variety from Snapdragon in your local supermarket, and it is probably the leading instant pho product sold in the US. Guess what? Made in Vietnam. There's no actual beef in this. It's all artificial flavoring. And yes, I'll be reviewing this one of these days. In fact, from all of my research prior to this video, there's only 2 instant pho manufacturers in the US right now using real meat in their broths, and Pholicious is one of them. So, knowing that these ingredients are the real deal, is this price tag worth it? Let's find out. And let's start things off with the beef pho bowl. And when people think of pho, this is the one they usually think of, the quote-unquote most traditional recipe where the broth is made from beef stock. Inside this bowl, we've got 1,700 milligrams of sodium for the entire container, which is a bit high, but is pretty par for the course for instant noodles. If that's too much for you, don't pursue instant noodles as a dietary choice. And now inside the bowl, you can see why these get so expensive. We've got a ton of stuff in here. There's a bundle of medium gauge flat rice noodles. We've got Pholicious's claim to fame, which is this cloth spice packet, which I've never seen before. And in here, you're going to find your traditional broth spices: star anise, fennel, cloves, cinnamon, and dried coriander. There's this additional spice blend that looks to be maybe garlic and some other powdered goodies, possibly MSG. Hopefully I can detect what's in there when I give it a smell. We've got a bouillon broth mix, which contains actual beef tallow. We've got a pair of chopsticks, which is a nice touch. And then these last 3 packets on the side here are staples of any good bowl of pho that you would get at a restaurant. There's cilantro and green onions in this garnish bag. There's sriracha sauce if you want to spice things up. And there's hoisin sauce to add some extra flavor notes. If you've never had hoisin before, it's a thick, salty, sweet sauce with a little kick of vinegar, chili pepper, and Chinese 5-spice. And if you go to a pho restaurant, you basically add however much sriracha and hoisin you like at the table. It's also worth noting before I cook this up, this whole thing is gluten-free except for the hoisin sauce. So if you have a gluten sensitivity, this is a purchase you might want to consider. Okay, let's get this prepped for cooking, which is microwave only. So first things first, we're going to fill this bowl up to the fill line with water. Then we're going to add these noodles. And now we're going to add the cloth spice bag. And do not open this. It's going to diffuse its flavor into the water as it cooks, just like a tea bag. But you don't want to end up chewing on anything in this bag. It will be unpleasant. And those herbs smell amazing. Very fragrant. All right, let's get that submerged. All right, next we've got this spice blend, which is Mama Two's Spices. I believe one of the founders of Pholicious. This is a family recipe, hence the label. There's a lot of garlic in there, which I really like. I'm having trouble picking out any other aromas because garlic is a very strong aroma. But let's put that in there. All right, and finally the beef bouillon. And apparently up until very recently, and you'll see this in the vegetarian pho when I get to it, this used to come in a bouillon cube, but now it's just a straight up powder. Okay, some of the spices from this cloth spice bag are definitely duplicated in the bouillon here. I smell cinnamon for sure. Okay, and this is it. And if you don't talk to a camera like I just did, it'll take half the time. So let me go through this in the microwave for 4 minutes, and I will be right back. Okay, and here's what it looks like right out of the microwave. And if you want a proper bowl of pho at home, you'd want to add other stuff to it. Bean sprouts, a protein of your choice, basil, lime, chili peppers. There's a ton of traditional options, and there's a little shopping list of things you can get on the lid here as suggestions. And you do have these 3 toppings included, which is nice. But here on this channel, it's my job to taste this as is and tell you if it's worth a purchase before you decide to spend all the money on this stuff to spruce this up. So I'm going to give this a quick stir, and I'm going to taste it before putting any of the garnishes in to see if this is worth your while. And I gotta say, the aroma is pretty much on point. Very fragrant blend of herbs and spices, has a reasonably cloudy, oily texture to it. It's certainly walking the walk and talking the talk at this point. All right, well, let's give this a try. I gotta say, it's pretty nice so far. All right, let's put the garnish in. And just to be fair, it's worth mentioning that cilantro and I do not get along very well, but I can power through it for review. I've learned to kind of push past that soap flavor because of the gene I have. So not to worry, I won't be complaining about the cilantro flavor in this. All right, and I'll do maybe half a pack of this hoisin. You know, who am I kidding? I love hoisin sauce. I'm just gonna squeeze the whole thing in here. And last but not least, I love sriracha. This whole thing's going in too. And I forgot to mention, both the sriracha and the hoisin sauce are Lee Kum Kee brand, which is a really good brand. They make some good stuff. I love their chili crisp. So it's really cool that Pholicious has that partnership with an established brand here. All right, let's get this all stirred up. Some of you may balk by the amount of sriracha I put in this, but that's how I like it. The whole point of pho is that you dress it up to your heart's content as you eat it. And if this were a restaurant, I would be pouring the entire portion of bean sprouts in here. Love bean sprouts. Okay, now we're talking. This looks much closer to something that I would have in front of me at a restaurant. Let's have another taste. All right, this is about as thorough as I can get, so let's start the review process with the noodles. Very good noodles. Medium gauge flat rice noodles. They're not mushy, they've got a nice al dente texture to them. They are a little clumpy, which is kind of par for the course with rice noodles, but not egregiously so. Very nice quality, I'm gonna give them an 8 out of 10. So the spice score is entirely subjective. Based on how you dress this up. Without the sriracha in it, obviously it's a 0 out of 10 on the spice scale. With the sriracha in it, it's not a particularly spicy brand of sriracha sauce. I would give this a 2.5 out of 10 on the spiciness scale, dressed up the way it is with the entire sriracha packet. If you have your own favorite sriracha to put in this, obviously that changes the spice score for you. But as it stands, Lee Kum Kee sriracha mixed into this amount of water, yeah, 2.5 out of 10. And so now for the overall score, how does this all come together? It's really good. Is it restaurant quality? It's close. I will say it's very close. It's just missing some of that extra richness and beefiness that I would have expected from a bowl of broth that's been simmering on the stove for several hours. But that's not to say it's not good. Honestly, the flavor in here is excellent. And while it's not restaurant quality, it's absolutely the closest to restaurant quality instant pho that I've ever tasted. The herbs and spices are incredibly flavorful. That cloth bag of spices is genius. The broth base and the proprietary blend of powdered spices in here brings some extra umami and garlic, which I love, to that cloth herb bag. And it just comes together nicely into a really tasty bowl of broth and noodles. The garnish packets are pretty generous. The portion size is very nice. You are getting close to your money's worth here, at least. And yeah, the quality is really apparent. I'm pretty happy with this. My only complaint truly is, you know, that price tag. That price tag is a little bit of a sticking point, but you get what you pay for. And I think your $5 does give you a bit more here than other brands do in terms of both quality and quantity. So overall score for this, 9 out of 10. I was hoping that this would live up to Pholicious's own hype, and it really does. I'm going to devour this as soon as the camera turns off, and I could absolutely see myself buying this one again. Okay, I know I talked a lot about that beef bowl. This one should be a much quicker conversation since it's probably going to be the same flavors with a chicken stock instead of a beef stock. And using chicken as the base for the broth is considered by some to be the less traditional option, but it is still very much a thing in the world of pho. I mean, honestly, just check out the entry for pho on Wikipedia if you want to know the history of the dish. But chicken broth is a perfectly valid approach to making it. The sodium count is identical to the beef bowl at 1,700 milligrams for this entire bowl. And now inside the bowl, we've pretty much got the same assortment of ingredients that we saw in the beef bowl, only now we've got a chicken bouillon packet instead of a beef one. But I do notice that the spice blend also has a yellow label instead of a red one, so maybe this has a slightly different blend of ingredients. We'll find out. So there's no need to bore you with another assembly montage, so let me just skip you right to the spice blend. So once again, smells like garlic with some other stuff that I can't quite pinpoint. And now the bouillon. Yep, same as before. We've got the powdered up meat extract in there with some cinnamon and possibly other good stuff. It's hard to tell exactly, but it does smell really nice. All right, into the microwave this goes. I'll be right back. Okay, the cloth patch has been removed, and here's what it looks like out of the microwave. Nice cloudy chicken broth. Smells wonderful. Once again, exactly like you'd expect chicken broth with pho spices and garlic, you know? Give this a quick stir, and then give it a try. Here we go. All right, it's really good. Once again, time for a quick edit, and I'm going to put all the garnishes in. Okay, garnishes are in. One more quick stir. And here you have it, our chicken pho garnished with green onions, cilantro, hoisin, and sriracha sauce. Let's give it a taste now. All right, we can keep this part of the review brief, especially because there's construction going on behind my backyard, and I don't know if you can hear that, but it's like incredibly annoying. The noodles in the spice level are the same as the beef bowl, but now we've got chicken broth instead of beef broth. And if you prefer chicken over beef, I would think you're probably going to enjoy this. This is the same terrific blend of spices and garlic, just with a different savory backbone. And I do find it really interesting how differently beef and chicken play off of the spices that go into pho. Like, this is both a completely familiar experience and a completely new one at the same time. I enjoy chicken pho just as much as beef pho, so I don't think there's any reason to score this one differently overall. It really boils down to whichever flavor you prefer. This is outstanding. This is a 9 out of 10 score for the Pholicious Chicken Pho Bowl. And lastly, we come to the vegetarian pho bowl, and to those of you scoffing at the idea of a vegetarian instant pho, let me just remind you, close to 100% of the instant pho packs in your Asian market are meat-free. So while this is a departure from restaurant or homemade pho in the sense of it not being made from a bone broth, it is pretty much right at home in the world of instant noodles, because a great deal of instant noodles exported from Asia to America are meat-free. Now, the question I know you want answered is, does this taste like a vegetable stock with pho spices, or is it an artificial meat stock with pho spices? Well, my wife actually tried a bowl of this one before, and I was able to have a little taste, so I know the answer to that. I'm going to walk you through what I learned. But first off, I want to show you that the packaging here is different from the other two bowls, and that's because Pholicious redesigned their packaging very recently. So the beef and chicken bowls that you just saw are the newer packaging, and this vegetarian pho is what they used to look like. Plastic lid, slightly more stout bowl. I happened to get this older packaging when I ordered it, but the ingredients look to be the same. So if you order these online and you get residual stock with the older packaging, it's still the same stuff from what I can tell. But there is one exception, which you'll see when I open this up. And real quick, it's very tiny here, but the sodium count for this entire bowl is only 1,300 milligrams of sodium, which is a lot to people who are watching their sodium intake, but is really not a lot when it comes to instant noodles. It's pretty good, honestly. And inside, once again, we've got the exact same combination of packets as the other bowls, but now we've got this vegetarian bouillon. And you'll notice that this one is in cube form. So apparently before the repackaging, from what I saw in older reviews, all of the bowls had a cube instead of straight up powder. So if you get the new version of this vegetarian pho bowl, you're going to get powder instead of a cube. So now for the final assembly. And with a quick jump cut, here you can see the vegetable bouillon cube as I take it out of its packaging. And here it is. And it smells very strongly of cinnamon. Okay, this is ready to go. One last go around in the microwave and I'll be right back. Okay, and here it is with the cloth spice bag removed. And the spice aroma in this bowl is much stronger than I found it to be in the other two. So let me have a quick taste here just to kind of back up what I tasted the first time I had this, and then we'll dress this up and talk about it. All right, yeah, pretty much like I remembered. Let's garnish it up real quick. All right, all of the hoisin, all of the sriracha, green onions, and cilantro. Looks pretty good. One final taste. Okay, yep, pretty much the same experience I had when my wife made this one. What you have here tastes mostly like an artificial chicken broth with pho spices in it. And you might not have been able to tell, but it is not quite as oily as the other two bowls, which means it's not quite as rich. And that's a big deal in the way I'm perceiving the flavor. You see, one of two things is happening here. Either the extra fat content from the beef and chicken mellowed out the spices in those other bowls, as well as providing a savory element, or this bowl has a slightly different spice mixture where the more licorice flavors like the star anise and fennel are coming through more pronounced on my taste buds. Or it could be a combination of those two things, I'm not sure. Whatever the case, I taste this as sweeter than the other two flavors, and of course less savory because of the lack of meat content. It's not completely lacking in savory flavor, but it is going to be enough to drive the score down a little bit. It's not going to be another 9 out of 10 here. Is it great quality? Hell yes. Is it good flavor? Absolutely. Is it as good as the beef and chicken varieties? I don't think so. It's a very good vegetarian option, but if you're not a vegetarian, you're going to want to go for either of the other two. I like this. I'm not as completely in love with it as I was with the other bowls. I'm going to score this one at a 7 out of 10. In a world where the beef and chicken bowls didn't exist, this one would be more impressive. And again, the quality's fine. It's just now we're getting to the point where this definitely tastes more like instant noodles than it does like restaurant pho. So let me be clear here. You are probably never going to find an instant pho product that tastes as good as what you can get at a restaurant. It's probably not scientifically possible because of the time it takes to develop those deep flavors when you're boiling the broth. But from all the instant noodles I've tried, compared to all the pho I've had in restaurants, I think these two are the closest it's ever come. The flavors in here, the perfect blends of spices, the quality of the broths. Even if the vegetarian bowl isn't as good as the beef or chicken, I think this is probably the best that instant pho can get. It's also really expensive, and that's going to be a sticking point for some of you. I can forgive a higher price tag when something is of significant quality, and I know it's not a cash grab. And I think Pholicious is of significant quality and not a cash grab. And beyond that, that price tag is going to a product made in the USA, and I know that's important to many of you. If you've never tried pho before, $5 for one of these bowls is a hell of a lot cheaper than the $15 it would cost at a restaurant, at least where I live. So if you're okay with the price, these are a strong recommendation. If you want something cheaper, I get it. Stick to whatever fits your taste and your budget. And if the idea of instant pho turns you off entirely, totally understandable. I've seen a lot of people with that opinion. Support your local Vietnamese restaurants. For me, I will almost definitely be buying the beef or chicken varieties again. And I can't wait to see what Pholicious comes out with in the future. So with that, I've got more instant pho reviews coming soon, including that Snapdragon bowl I showed you back at the beginning of the video. Plus Pholicious's main competition, Phenomenal, which started showing up in Target stores recently. I have all 3 of those bowls coming up one of these days. If you'd like to leave me a comment and let me know what you think of Pholicious, please do. Or let me know what your favorite instant pho is and how you like to garnish it. I've got some awesome new reviews coming up, so I hope you'll join me here again on Noodle Journey.